Welcome into Extra Time. Alexis alongside Stevie and a nicely tanned Shaka Hislop. Jules is also with us, and the rest of us would love to know what a vacation tastes like. But anyways, let's answer some questions. And thankfully, the first one is for Shaka, because we're putting him to work right away. Shaka, I always find that the first few days returning to work are very hard and give off a stark post-vacation depression. As you return to the chilling cold of the East Coast from Carnival in Trinidad, how do you cope with these feelings?
I try to suppress them as best I can. That works wonders. Let me see this.
I tell you what Shaka did. He came in early today, and from the crack of dawn, he has just been on his laptop looking at highlights and stats from the last 3 weeks of football, trying to prep himself for the show today.
And if you believe that, boy, do I have a piece of property to sell you.
Oh, he came in an hour.
I arrived today and I was like, I have no idea what happened to me last 2 weeks. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Ah, boy.
So that's why normally we would have a Shaka Power Rankings on Thursday, but we couldn't put him through it. Well, he actually did give us one, but we didn't really trust it, so we didn't do it.
Yeah.
You could have done a power rankings on fruit cocktails.
Yeah, or ranking adult beverages.
Ah, boy.
Yeah.
Let me just say, I had a good time. Just
no
the
kidding.
record.
I'm sure.
Just the record.
Just for the record. I can't wait to unearth some photos. All right, next
Oh
question.
no, there's none.
There's none.
I've scraped
Incognito.
I've scraped the entire interweb. There are no photos of me.
Next year you should take us all to Trinidad Carnival.
Absolutely.
I think so.
Everywhere I go, people are saying, when you bringing FC to Trinidad and Tobago?
Including Craig? They asked for Craig?
Craig will have, somebody's got to stay here.
Yeah, I think
Somebody's
Craig
gotta
should
stay
stay here. But I think the rest of us should go. Ale Moreno would have a great time. Jules would have a great time. Stevie as well.
The same Steve who I texted that I wouldn't be available, he's the one responsible. But he's happy to put my text message on blast. But he won't take the show down to the Caribbean.
Steve, take us back down to the Caribbean.
Maybe if I send a text, maybe I need to send another text.
Yes, do that. ESPN FC in the Caribbean. We're coming. I said it today.
All right.
Next question. Stevie, should Liverpool give Virgil van Dijk and Alisson contract extensions for an extra year? Maybe there's a good chance Salah and Robertson leave in the summer, and I'm sure Van Dijk and Alisson's experience and leadership would be needed.
Well, yes, I think 100% Van Dijk. However, Jules will need to help me out here. I've got Kvaratskhelia in my head. It's not that, but the goalkeeper. Mamadashvili. I'm kind of thinking...
Some people call him Kvaratskhelia though.
Well,
Yeah.
Some people call him that.
The big Georgian.
but you notice how you got it when I said Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah.
So if you can get... I think it's time for Mamadashvili to maybe step into Alisson's shoes. If you can get a decent amount of money for Alisson, because I think he still would, then I would be tempted to make that change. Because Mamadashvili is a fantastic backup, but I think he would be a fantastic number one as well. Oh. And I think Alisson is just beginning to drop a little bit in terms of 100% in terms of his feet. I think this season in particular, his feet have been horrible. He's given a lot of balls away. He's put a lot of balls out of bounds. And I don't think he's made as many big saves as we've been used to. So if you could get a decent amount of money for Alisson, I think I would move Mr. Mamadashvili up a little bit.
All right.
I'm about Van Dijk. Are you calling for
No, I would get no. I would give Van Dijk a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
A year?
I thought you were just throwing everybody out.
I know.
No, Van Dijk, yes, without hesitation. Alisson, you can get a decent amount of money.
Thanks for your service.
Fisherman, yeah.
Jules, what is the contract situation? What are you hearing about what could potentially happen with the likes of Salah, Robbo, Van Dijk, and Alisson?
Well, both Alisson is out of contract in June 2027, which is the same for Virgil, obviously. And I agree with Stevie in the sense that I think the club had prepared for the post-Alisson era with Mamadashvili being ready. We saw him playing when Alisson was injured a bit this season. I think he did quite well. He will need a bit of time, obviously, to adapt and everything. But I think that's very much the plan. So I'd be surprised if there's an extension for Alisson. For Van Dijk, it's a little bit different, but I agree on Salah probably leaving this summer coming with a year left on his contract. Robertson is out of contract in the summer. I think he will go. For Virgil, it's probably a decision that you make this summer, probably maybe not this summer, but more in the January of next year, and see where he's at that time. And also if he wants to stay, because we're talking about him staying, but for all we know, he might fancy another experience somewhere, maybe going back to the Netherlands, maybe go to MLS, I don't know, whatever he wants to do. So he might not want to stay once his contract runs out as well.
All right.
Can you imagine him in MLS?
Oh, thriving.
Like, he's with a cigar out.
Is that how you hold your cigars?
Yeah. The last time I had one, yeah.
What?
Very fancy.
Shaka, is that how
Why
you
are
hold?
those the fingers like that?
I know, that's what I was saying. It's a weird way to hold a cigar.
How are you supposed to hold a cigar?
Naturally.
Like, don't you just hold them like that? It's supposed to. This is
Yeah.
This is kind of like, who did that celebration last time? Wasn't it Dele Alli or something?
McGinn.
Yeah.
No,
Nothing
McGinn.
like that. It's nothing like that.
I don't know who holds their cigar like that. Stevie, apparently. But you know what? He's won a lot more stuff than all of us combined, so he's allowed to. Next question is for Jules. Jules, if you could sign one player for Arsenal right now, who would it be?
Wow. As much as I like Trossard, Martinelli, and
Mbappe.
even Eze, I guess, who can play on the left-hand side, I mean, I would love Kylian there, obviously,
Of course.
as you know. But in that kind of like left winger type of player, and I know he's just extended his contract at Juventus, but I would love Kenan Yildiz to play in this Arsenal team, because I think he will bring something a little bit special as well. And yeah, so for now it's not possible because he signed a new deal at Juventus, but hopefully in the future at some point.
All right. You guys look lost. You agree with Jules. Next question. 6 of the final 16 teams for the Champions League are from the Premier League. Will the gap continue to grow between the Premier League and the rest of the top leagues in the world? And is this a bad thing for football as a whole?
Well, there's no reason why it's going to start going elsewhere because of the money. So you'd have to suggest that it will, if nothing else, it will absolutely stay the way it is. And because of the money, it might get worse for the other European sides.
But at the same time, they've had some kind of weird results. I mean, we discussed Inter Bodo Glimt earlier, right? That has got nothing to do with money, as we established. Spurs finished in the top 8. God knows how that happened. So it's just been weird in Champions League in terms of how it's all kind of come together. And I know Jules was talking about PSG earlier on the show. Similarly, they kind of limped through the group stage, dare I say, and it was only when I think they hit Liverpool in the round of 16, all of a sudden they started looking like a team that could go the distance or could go further. And then
Real
all of a
Madrid
sudden
looking questionable.
I don't think there was any question that PSG were deserved winners in the end. When up until that round of 16, they didn't look like that team at all. So I just feel that this Champions League just kind of throws up some oddities that maybe money isn't the only answer for.
Jules, what do you think?
I think every season is different. Last season we only had 3 English clubs in the last 16, and yet they were still that much more powerful than anybody else, with that much more money than anybody else, and they still only had 3. And from one season to another, it can vary, but it's obviously true that they have so much more money than everybody else, that the league is better than everybody else, even if, as we've said many times on the show, we think it's an average season in the Premier League this year, but they still have just about the money and how much they can spend in both transfer windows and outspend everybody else, that gives you a huge advantage going forward.
You know, I was just thinking though,
Good.
it's not, because we've been talking about how some of the games we haven't quite enjoyed them as much.
Is that a phone ring?
I know, it sounded like it.
Jules, you have someone at your door.
This has happened before. This happened. This happened.
Somebody
What is
at the door.
Oh, it's someone at Jules'
One of the
door.
kids.
doorbell.
Sorry.
Jules,
sorry.
at like what time is it
I
there?
should go
10
and open
p.m.
the door, really, but
Leave him outside. What?
yeah, like there was a party somewhere apparently. I was told, so I don't know.
Oh, Jules has some 10 p.m. visitors.
Yep.
No, I was going to say, But back in the day with Serie A, all the best players were there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games weren't particularly great either. So it's not anything new that all of a sudden where all the money is, the games are not exciting. Because I can assure you, you know, the old Catenaccio and all that nonsense, some of the games were tough to watch. So it's not a new thing.
All right.
All right?
Yeah.
Just letting you know. Bit of
Thank you.
before your time.
Thank you,
Bit
Stephen.
before your time, but there you go.
Jules has gone to answer the door. It's 10 p.m. Look at that. Hey!
Don't take it off his camera. You snuck into the party for a little bit.
Jules is trying to
Let's have
sneak into
a
the
drink and an
party.
hors d'oeuvre. Come back.
Oh, Jules.
Tell you what,
Hey.
it'd be great if he came back with a big lipstick on.
Let's not get him in trouble.
Sorry.
Boy.
Wow, 10 p.m. visitors.
That was good. Later than that, isn't it?
11.
11.
It's 11 even
Aye.
later. Jeez.
Yeah.
Questions.
I'm not asking any. I don't want to know.
Next question now. Stevie, is the ultimate frustration, especially as a manager, to get a goal to go ahead or get back in a match and then surrender a goal a minute later?
To get a goal to go ahead.
Or to get back in the match?
Oh no, the biggest frustration is going ahead and then 2 seconds later you let one in.
Yeah.
That is the yeah. I mean that drives you insane.
Kind of happened to Benfica,
Yeah, that drives you insane. Yeah, easily that one.
that one. Next question for Shaka. Shaka, who does Eddie Howe or you want? Chelsea or Barca?
I think Chelsea.
Oh,
I think Barcelona is a better team, quite simply.
Aye.
You take the lesser team. Yep.
all right. Simple as. Oh, all right. That's it for this edition of Extra Time. That's it.
I thought you had more, Alexis. All right, okay, let's.
Time.
All right, never mind. Never mind whatever we're going to do in a minute.
I was
Just go on
told
home,
that
everybody.
Jules is having people over at 11
I
and
said parties.
we kept him too
got a
late.
load of
Notice he
people
said-
outside.
Notice what he said. Oh, somebody told me there was a party going on.
Yes,
It's him.
it's him having the party.
He's got the party.
They're all standing outside like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Let us in.
I'm going
Free.
to bed.
Come on, bring
I'm
it
going
back.
to bed.
Yeah, we were told.
Yeah,
Anthony,
yeah.
the last question was for Jules,
I am
but
going
alas,
to bed.
he's going to have to wonder what it is.
Yes,
All right, Jules,
gonna have to
go
get the
ahead.
hors d'oeuvres ready.
Enjoy your party.
Yeah.
Must be
Jules,
nice. Must be nice.
Have one for me, Jules.
Yes.
Or
Have
two.
one.
Lovely.
Have a grape juice for Stevie. Well, Jules is one of the writers that is picking their Premier League player of the season so far over on our ESPN website. His pick, though, is not a certain Martin Odegaard, though, who has been overshadowed somewhat by Eberechi Eze. And Stevie had this to say about Odegaard's future.
Odegaard might be leaving Arsenal.
Coming next, Stevie. That's quite a statement.
Well, if you're Odegaard and you're the captain, and 18 months ago you were the guy, and all of a sudden, I know he's had a couple of injuries, but all of a sudden there's question marks whether he actually starts in the 11 because of Eze. Maybe even because of the way he's been playing, somebody else might get ahead of him as well. So if you're Odegaard, do you stick around? I don't think you do.
Jules, what do you make of what Stevie had to say about the Odegaard situation?
Yeah, I think the question has to be asked really about his place in this team, the future. He's been a bit underperforming really the last 18 months. He's still the club captain. Mikel Arteta still loves him. I think he still has a lot of credit in the bank, for sure. But it's a highly competitive squad to start with, because there's players in his own position that can play, that offer something very different to what he has as well. I don't think he will leave. I think there's still a lot of love for him and support for him at the club, especially from Arteta. I think there's a place for him in that team if he gets back to his best. which we saw not that long ago as well. So, but I think it's a good point too, and I think there's probably some fans who share what Stevie thinks. I think it's probably a right question to ask right now, because it's a key moment in this season. And I think right now, it's a very important time for Martin Odegaard, like it is for Arsenal Football Club. And then we see what the second half of the season brings. And then I think we probably have a clearer image or idea of what's going to happen in the summer at the end of the season.
Xhaka, if you were Odegaard, what would you do?
Well, first of all, let me say, I don't see Odegaard leaving before the end of next season. I think over the course of the next 15 months or whatever it is between now and the end of next season, you may slowly start seeing a change of the guard to Eze playing in that position. I totally understand the sentiment. As you look at Odegaard and you start to wonder, what is his big plus? What is his big upside in this Arsenal side? Still the captain, yes, but I think Declan Rice has established himself more as a leader than Martin Odegaard to this point. And then when you look at the stats between him and Eze, certainly Eze stands out, and he's been kind of stop-start, or at least Arteta has made him a little bit stop-start. But Odegaard, for me, hasn't been the player that we saw 2 years ago, and is not the player that Eze is, who would engage defenders and make you rethink, given his runs and his talent on the ball. He's not the kind of passer that maybe you saw 2 years ago, or you associate with somebody sitting in that position, like a dare I say, Kevin De Bruyne. So he doesn't scare you. In terms of his role and that position. So without that leadership aspect of it, what is Odegaard's primary role in this team, defining role in this team? I'm not sure that is there anymore. I still think that given how things are going, there won't, especially if Arsenal go on and win the title, there won't be major change in the summer. That will come a little bit slower, which is why I say I don't feel we'll be having that earnest discussion about Odegaard's future until this time next year, thinking what's he going to do come summer 2027.
Jules, up next, of course, is a London derby, Arsenal facing Chelsea. Do you feel like Odegaard will start in this one?
I think this is really interesting because he didn't start against Spurs last Sunday because he was not fully fit, just coming back from an injury. And don't forget that Eberechi Eze didn't start in that number 10 position, that right-hand side in the midfield 3 position. In the previous league game against Wolves, for example, because Bukayo Saka played there like he did when he played in the FA Cup against Wigan 3 days or 4 days before. So, I don't know, you would think that with the momentum of the performance that Eze had against Spurs, that it would be him, especially if Odegaard is not fully fit yet to start a Premier League game of this caliber with the intensity and everything that is at stake in the game. Maybe, but I don't think it's a given either for Eberechi Eze to start that game. And you could see Odegaard could play there. You could see maybe something slightly different from a Mikel Arteta point of view, maybe in that midfield. My money is on Eze, and I think it's, I'm sure the boys would agree with me. But again, we've seen a few surprises from Arteta in that position already this season.
Well, let's see if the boys do agree with you. Stevie, do you agree with Jules that your money's on Eze to start?
Well, yes, I think he should start. But as Joe said at the end there, Arteta's done some, he's thrown some wobblies at us. And so if you're Eze, you can't be totally confident. You're actually, if you're Eze, sitting waiting on that team sheet going up. Because he's been in and out as well. A couple of weeks ago, he looked frozen. Mm-hmm. Never mind Odegaard. Now, all of a sudden, he's back in pole position. So I expect Eze to start, but with Arteta, you never know. Do you think that comes from Pep? I mean, Pep used to do that all the time. I think sometimes he thinks back to what Pep did because he thinks he's surprising teams. But unfortunately, too many times, yes, you surprise the opposition, but you surprise your own team and you upset your own team as well. So if Arteta's got his try to be clever head on, then I don't know what to expect.
I'd start Eze. And I'd start Eze because of how I expect Chelsea to play. Now, given what you saw, particularly in the second leg of that Carabao Cup, where Chelsea just kind of, albeit was at Arsenal, Chelsea just kind of sat and defended. And was it at Arsenal or Stamford Bridge's second leg? Whichever way. Chelsea just sat and defended and hoped to bring a surprise in the last 15 minutes. I expect Chelsea's approach to be very much the same this time around. Again, just sit back, defend, soak pressure up, and hope to come out in the last 15 minutes. In which case, you need somebody just to shake things up a little bit in that attacking third, and Eze can be that for Arsenal when Arteta allows him to be. So for me, if I'm picking the squad, I'm picking Eze to give Chelsea a whole lot more to think about.
Well, Jules, Arsenal got a big result in the North London derby, but they did drop some points in their 2 games before that against Wolves and Brentford. So looking at this matchup now against Chelsea, could this be another potential banana skin for Mikel Arteta?
I think it's a massive game because of the momentum that they have now after that win against Tottenham last Sunday. That doesn't mean that you forget what happened against Brentford and Wolves when you dropped those points, when you were leading as well in those games, which is something that you can't really afford to do when you are in this kind of title race with a team like Manchester City. But there's that momentum. You're back at the Emirates as well, which I think is very important. And you're facing a Chelsea team that we saw against Burnley probably deserved to lose that game at Stamford Bridge against Burnley. That the week before that could only draw against Leeds again at home after being 2-0 up in that game. So it's not the best version of Chelsea right now. I think Rosinha is still finding out or trying to figure out what is the best formula for his current team. Is he Cole Palmer on the right hand side? Where do you play Enzo? If you play Enzo as a 10, I'm not sure this is very good for Palmer. If you play Palmer as a 10, that means you play Enzo deeper. I don't think this is really good for Enzo, especially for a game like this against Arsenal. So there's a lot of question marks over what Rosinha has to do or is doing or is not doing, maybe even at Chelsea. So it's probably a good time if you're Arsenal to play Chelsea. It's probably a good time for Chelsea to play Arsenal, and in a way, having to be fully focused, a bit like what Arsenal had to do when they went away at Spurs last Sunday after the Wolves result. That is a bit similar to what Chelsea went through with the draw against Burnley at home. So it's quite similar, but Chelsea need to wake up pretty quickly. Otherwise, even that 4th and 5th place could escape them very quickly against Liverpool and United.
All right, with all that said, let's have a look at the predictions that our panel has for this one. Surprise, surprise, surprise. We all went for a win for Arsenal.
That means
Chelsea are going to win.
What that
Chelsea fans, we have just jinxed Arsenal for you, so you're welcome in advance.
Arsenal's internal shakeup continues, and the latest departure signals that the restructuring behind the scenes is far from over. James Ellis has stepped down from his role as technical director just 7 months after being promoted. According to BBC Sport, Ellis, who only took on the position last August after serving as head of recruitment, has now left the club amid what appears to be a wider internal overhaul. His exit doesn't come in isolation. In December, Arsenal appointed former Napoli executive Maurizio Micheli to a senior recruitment role, a move widely seen as part of the club's long-term structural reset. Just months earlier, Andrea Berta had been confirmed as sporting director, effectively replacing Edu Gaspar. That appointment alone signaled a new era. Now, with Ellis gone, the transformation feels even more deliberate. Ellis joins Edu and former CEO Vini Venkatesham among high-profile departures from the Emirates hierarchy. Both Edu and Venkatesham moved on to new roles. Edu taking on a global director of football position at Nottingham Forest, and Venkatesham joining Tottenham. However, neither situation appears entirely stable. Edu's time at the City Ground has reportedly been turbulent. Nottingham Forest's dramatic drop in form since his arrival has raised serious questions about the project's direction, and indications suggest his tenure there may not last much longer. Meanwhile, at Tottenham, Venkatesham has come under intense scrutiny from Spurs supporters, particularly for his initial backing and continued support of Thomas Frank, even as results and performances deteriorated from December onward. Eventually, Igor Tudor was appointed interim manager, and his first match in charge came in the most demanding fixture possible, the North London derby against Arsenal. Despite having just 7 days in the job, the 47-year-old Tudor understands the magnitude of the occasion and the adversity he's facing. "We trained with 13 players," Tudor admitted. "That's the reality. It's not ideal, but in moments like this, the challenge becomes even greater. And so does the opportunity to succeed." He added confidently, "We will have 13 players ready, and that's more than enough to achieve what we want on Sunday. I understand the importance of this match. It's a North London derby. Everyone expects 3 points from us. We are aware of that." Arsenal, however, arrive at the derby carrying frustration of their own. Consecutive draws against Wolves and Brentford have slowed their momentum, and Mikel Arteta made it clear there could not be a better fixture to respond. It's the next game, And it's the one we're most excited to play, Arteta said. If we could play today, we would. We have to use that feeling in our stomach the right way, and show it on Sunday. There are also selection decisions looming. Despite Eberechi Eze scoring 3 times in the reverse fixture, his place in midfield is no longer guaranteed. Competition has intensified, particularly after positive fitness updates on Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard, both capable of operating in similar roles. We'll have to wait until tomorrow, Arteta said cautiously. But there's a strong possibility that both of them will be available. With tension rising both on and off the pitch, this derby feels bigger than usual. Arsenal are reshaping their leadership structure. Tottenham are battling instability, and both clubs are searching for momentum at a crucial stage of the season. Sunday won't just be about 3 points. It's about direction, identity, and control in North London. The broader picture, however, stretches beyond one derby or one boardroom exit. What is unfolding at Arsenal is a defining phase, a moment where structural decisions off the pitch could shape the club's competitiveness for years to come. The departure of James Ellis raises natural questions about continuity and recruitment strategy. Arsenal have invested heavily in building a data-driven, modern scouting network over the past few seasons. Under Mikel Arteta's leadership, recruitment has largely aligned with a clear footballing identity: younger profiles, tactical intelligence, technical security, and long-term resale value. Now, with Maurizio Micheli and Andrea Berta positioned as key figures, the club appears to be centralizing authority even further. For supporters, the concern isn't necessarily change. It's instability. Frequent turnover at executive level can create uncertainty during crucial transfer windows. With the summer approaching and expectations growing after consecutive near-title pushes, Arsenal cannot afford missteps in squad planning. Rivals are strengthening. Margins are thin. Every decision matters. On the pitch, the North London derby carries added psychological weight. Arsenal's recent draws against Wolves and Brentford weren't just dropped points. They dented momentum at a critical juncture of the season. Title races are often defined by response, how quickly a team reacts after disappointment. Arteta understands that narrative. Privately, there is belief within the squad that performances have not dipped as sharply as results suggest. Arsenal have maintained strong possession metrics, defensive structure, and chance creation numbers in recent matches. The issue has been efficiency, converting control into decisive moments. Against Tottenham, that margin for waste disappears. For Spurs, the situation feels even more volatile. Igor Tudor's interim appointment reflects urgency rather than long-term planning. Training sessions with limited numbers underline the squad's injury struggles, and depth will be tested against one of the league's most organized sides. Yet derby matches rarely follow logic. Emotional intensity often overrides tactical predictability. Another layer to the story is the competitive landscape at the top of the table. With Manchester City and Liverpool maintaining relentless standards, any slip can reshape the standings instantly. Arsenal know that draws at this stage can feel as damaging as defeats. The pressure is no longer about proving progress. It's about delivering silverware. Internally, Arteta's message has reportedly been direct. Block out external noise. The boardroom reshuffle, media speculation, and scrutiny around player selection cannot bleed into matchday focus. Leadership inside the dressing room, particularly from senior figures, becomes crucial in moments like this. There is also anticipation around the possible return of Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard. Their availability would not only boost tactical flexibility, but also restore leadership and composure in key phases of play. If both are fit, Arteta faces a selection dilemma, but one he would welcome. In North London, perception shifts quickly. One result can calm doubts or intensify them. A victory would reassert Arsenal's authority, silence questions about momentum, and reinforce belief in the current project despite executive turnover. A setback, however, would amplify concerns about consistency at the worst possible time. Ultimately, this is a convergence of narratives: structural change, title ambition, squad depth challenges, and historic rivalry. The derby will not define the entire season, but it will send a message. And right now, both clubs are desperate to control that message.